What's up, everybody? My name is Eli, and across from me on that other little part of the screen over there is my very good friend, Jake Labriere. And typically, we're the Beer Bros. I mean, this is not our normal banner that we fly under, but tonight, uh, Gabe has given us the reins for the Wannabe Critic show. What was he thinking? I mean, we're just going to destroy this.
He's down with the sickness.
Oh, okay. No, Gabe is sick
Literally.
though. Literally, Gabe is sick. So we were supposed to all record tonight, doing the review on the third episode of Book of Boba Fett. But because he's so sick, he said, "Hey, why don't you guys take the reins on this one, and let's see how it goes." So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the first time we will be hosting Wannabe Critic, and it will also be the last time. So, he's never going to let us do this ever again after what we got going on tonight.
This is going to be his first 5-star episode.
We're going to do this way better than him. So, Gabe, you can kick rocks.
Yeah.
This is our show.
Get out of here.
No, so we are going to be reviewing the third episode of the Book of Boba Fett, and we're also going to Beer Bros it up a little bit. Sorry, Gabe. I mean, you gave us control, so we got a couple little bonus content thing that we're going to go. But our main talk is about the Chapter 3 of Book of Boba Fett, The Streets of Mos Espa. It pretty much, there's no summary on the website, but it was directed by Robert Rodriguez, written by Jon Favreau. So just to get into everything, Jake, what's been before we get into the episode, what's been new with you?
Whole lot of nothing. Same stuff, just working and coming home and vegging out on the couch with the wife.
Wow,
watching TV.
Your boss must be a big jerk.
Yeah,
or at least the guy that's in charge of you.
They're both horrible.
For you that don't know, Jake and I work together. So it puts interesting strains on our friendship sometimes.
No, but nothing exciting. Same old, really.
Yeah. I guess the only thing that's been going on with me is just, now we started a Minecraft realm. So we've been potentially recording some Minecraft videos for the audience, Jake and I, and also Gabe. So we've been playing some Java Edition, which I found out Gabe hates for some reason.
Yeah. He was throwing a temper tantrum trying to get that game going.
I know. He's just like, I can't use my controller. I have to use mouse and keyboard.
Oh my God. I hate this game. Oh.
No, but we had a really good time. So hopefully, if those ever make it, we're doing a survival world, and we're finding that it takes a lot more time to get any variety of content in a survival world, because there's a lot of seriousness going on. And when you get serious, you get quiet, and there's not a whole lot of good corpse for content. So it might be a little while till a video comes out, if they do.
I think there's potentially some really good content there, because like Gabe was talking about, he's going to make it interesting so we get content since we are so quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And I think all the content is going to be nothing but us raging about Gabe
Probably
coming in and killing us.
Yeah, he was already chasing me around with a sword, and he said he wasn't trying to get me, but there was nothing else around there, and he was literally following my footsteps. So we'll see where it goes. It'll be an interesting project. The other thing I'm looking forward to is we need to play some Star Wars RPG like soon. It's been months almost. At least it feels like it.
I was actually pretty disappointed, I guess. Not in Gabe, obviously, but I was pretty disappointed when Gabe said he was sick.
Yeah.
Because I was like, we're not going to play for for a little bit now.
Yeah, until he gets
really
better.
Looking forward to playing.
We got to have a healthy dungeon master, otherwise the games will suck. And Gabe has been an A+ all across the book so far. With how many weeks we've done it, I think we've done it, 5 or 6 weeks. So I mean, we're pretty far into the RPG, at least for what I think. I mean, I don't know. I haven't really played before, so it could go for years. But we've got a lot of stuff done. So, and every time he's done it, it's been A+. So we want to keep up with the streak. But okay, so with that being said, let's hop into this episode here. So like I said, it's Chapter 3 of the Book of Boba Fett, The Streets of Mos Espa. It was directed by Robert Rodriguez and written by Jon Favreau. And Robert Rodriguez, if you don't remember, he was the director of the very first episode. So we'll maybe touch on that just a little bit too as we discuss this. So Jake, I'm going to direct it towards you. What was your what were some of the things that you enjoyed about the episode? Let's start with that.
As far as the actual episode itself, I liked the episode as a whole. My favorite part was hands down the Wookiee scene.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no question. That scene was incredible to me. Granted, it's the Wookiee's one of my favorite Star Wars characters. So, but what was his name? We heard his name. I forgot to write it down.
I'm gonna pull that up right now. But I did a little research on him over lunch, and he's actually not a new character. He's this is a character that's existed in lore before. I don't know how recently, but he's a comic book character. He's a bounty hunter.
I wanted to look that up because I kind of had a feeling that he existed in the comic books or something.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm gonna butcher this, but Chrysantan.
Chrysanthemum, I think is how they said it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but there are like, I'm like looking right now on Google. There are images of him from a comic book, so he's not a new character, which is really
okay.
cool. I really, because that shows the creative genius that Jon Favreau has, and all his knowledge of things that he has to be able to write a character that was that deep in lore. Not to toot my horn, but I didn't even know about. So he was able to pull that out and make it a great character. Sorry, Jake, go ahead.
Yeah, that whole scene, I was actually what was it, episode 1 where he was introduced?
No, it was last week's episode 2.
That was last week's. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think it could get any more terrifying, and I was actually like, when he ripped Boba Fett out of the bacta tank, I was like, oh, yeah. God.
I didn't know what was happening there, because all of a sudden he's dreaming, and then it sounds like the bacta tank's shutting down, but then all the water like escapes like right away, and I was like, that's not how that's supposed to work. And then you see the hand come in.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that was executed perfectly.
Man, that scene was so intense, and the part where before anybody else came in, and he wrapped Boba Fett, and you could start hearing him squeezing.
You start hearing him crunch. Oh,
dude, I was like, drawing a blank on his name, but Boba Fett, his face, like, it was perfect.
Yeah, I was a little freaked out, because as soon as like he crushed him, he went limp, and I was like, oh, did he just break his back?
That's what
I was surprised when he stood back up, but anyway.
Yeah, which is part of. I mean, it's nothing major, but that's something I was going to touch on in the dislike part.
Okay.
But so the Wookiee, the Chrysanthemum scene was by far my favorite. I also, though, I liked, second to that was the Rancor. That was awesome. I knew as soon as I saw it too, I was like, oh man, Elijah probably freaked out when he saw that.
Yeah. So I think the exact text I got from Gabe this morning was, is Jon Favreau literally stealing all my ideas?
I thought the same thing. As the episode went on, I was like, holy crap, like Gabe could have wrote these episodes. These are exactly like our RPGs.
Like we always thought that Rancors were these mindless beasts of destruction, but with this, we get to see a little bit of some heart, kind of like what in our Star Wars RPG, we have a pet Rancor, a modified Rancor, and that it's kind of follows that suit. So it's pretty amazing where everything's going with the lore. We're getting a lot of lore in this show, which is awesome.
Yeah, and that's actually something I wrote down in my notes, was with the Rancor, I loved how they expanded on that a little bit about the bonding with it. And obviously, because I think that was already common knowledge, right? But it was like the Rancor Keeper was the one who could bond with it or something. Or was that kind of like passive knowledge?
I'm not hip on that, so I couldn't tell you, to be quite honest.
I think the only reason I thought that was because in Return of the Jedi, after Luke killed the Rancor, didn't the Rancor Keeper like come out and he was like distraught?
Yeah, I guess that does make sense. Yeah,
I think that's why I thought that.
Yeah, I mean, now that you say that, now that I think about that whole scene in Return of the Jedi, yeah, that does make sense that would be where they would go with this. Yeah.
But like in my mind, I was like, oh yeah, obviously the Keeper, he's the one who feeds it, takes care of it. But I thought that was really cool how they introduced that with Boba now.
Yeah.
And they also It was awesome. What's his last name? Trejo, Danny Trejo.
Danny Trejo, yeah, yeah.
Great. Oh man, that was so cool. And I
That
was
was
like,
such a good surprise. It really
he was like
was.
riding up, and I was like, dude, that looks like Danny Trejo. And then it showed him again. I was like, holy crap, it is Danny Trejo.
I'm surprised his shirt wasn't unbuttoned. Like,
He's like got a machete strapped
yeah,
to his back or something.
I am forever
Machete.
machete. Ugh. I just remember him in Spy Kids, dude. Like that was like the best. His acting is so bad, but it's so timeless.
I feel like he's one of the only actors that gets away with that too. He's like
It,
not a very good actor, but it's timeless at the same time.
which, not to get out the subject, but you know how he became an actor?
Mm-mm.
So he was actually a criminal. I don't know if he was tied up in the with the cartel in it or anything, but he was called in as an expert for a prison movie, or like something that has to base with someone going to prison and doing scenes inside the prison. So he was there as a uh, consultant to get the prison to feel as real as possible. So anyway, this is
Really?
not the Danny Trejo show, but fun fact.
Kinda. If he's in it, it's kind of his show.
Yeah,
Neat.
neat. All right. So anything else you got nailed on? You're hitting every one that I liked so far too.
I
So,
figured. Yeah, I figured we'd have a lot of the same. As far as like, I guess big details, that was about it. The other part that I thought was kind of cool, kind of made me chuckle, was I forgot his character name already. I should have wrote his name down too. The dude that came to Boba in the palace and asked for his help. That was like the water guy.
oh yeah, he was the what did he call himself? A water monger or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Did he look familiar to you?
No, I didn't recognize him. Who is he?
So the whole time I was like, watch, I was like, oh man, he looks familiar. Why does he look so familiar? And then it clicked. You remember Dodgeball, right?
Yeah, vaguely, like it's. I could give you bits and pieces of that movie. It's been years since I've seen it.
Do you
All I know is
remember?
dodge a wrench, dodge a ball, and Ben Stiller is super fat at the end. That's the only thing I remember about that movie.
Do you happen to remember the character that was on Vince Vaughn's team? He was short and fat and had these big old glasses that made his eyes look huge.
Vaguely, I remember the pirate guy. Pretty. What,
Patches O'Houlihan.
yeah, and that's Alan. Is it Tudyk? Alan Tudyk. He was in Rogue One.
I think so.
I believe he was. I believe he was the black robot in Rogue One.
Really?
Yeah. Anyway,
Huh.
continue. So is he that? That's who that guy is. That actor?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, he's actually. I looked him up because I was like, I only know him from Dodgeball, but apparently he's actually a pretty prominent actor as far as supporting roles. He's done a whole lot of stuff. But I think the reason it clicked was because I was listening to Punch Counter Punch yesterday, and
That
Gabe.
just sucks.
Yeah, it's. I don't even know why I listened to it.
So I love you, Gabe.
Ethan's the only one who makes that show. He should really take over it. But no, but I was listening to that, and Gabe brought up Patches O'Houlihan and started talking about Dodgeball,
Oh, that's hilarious.
and I was like, huh. And then that's when I saw him. I was like, oh, that's what he's from, is Dodgeball. I thought that was cool.
All right,
But
very good.
as far as what I liked, I think that pretty well covered the details of it.
Yeah, that was a lot of mine that I really enjoyed. I mean, I guess the only other thing that I can think of off the top of my head, is I guess it's not a very happy thing, but we get to see what the outcome of Boba Fett's Tusken family is. I mean, they all get slaughtered, and it and I kind of was looking back, like as I was kind of watching I watched the first half of the episode again right before we hopped on, and like watching it again, and how Boba goes and meets the Pikes while presumably his tribe is being murdered.
Mhm.
He was kind of the Pike was kind of like very touch and go with how he was feeling. Like you could tell that he's not opposed to working with Boba and the Tuskens, but there's also something else going on. And then we find out that the Tuskens have been wiped out as his family potentially. I mean, that might be safe to say it's like his family.
Yeah.
And we see the same graffiti mark that we see from the first episode from the biker gang, and that's who the Pikes were paying for protection in the long run. So I want to say that this is my prediction, I guess, since I don't really have anything other to expand on for what I liked about the show, because we kind of covered it with your part. I'll give my prediction. What I predict is that we're going to see eventually in flashbacks in future episodes about how, excuse me, about how Boba goes and acts revenge on the biker gang. I think that's going to be something that we see. And I think that is going to be what pushes the Pikes out of Jabba's territory. And then now that we find out the mayor was, not rooting for the Hutts, not rooting for Boba at all. He's in bed with the Pikes and the kid. And I think that's how the battle is going to happen, because Boba's going to realize that it was really kind of the Pikes' fault that his family got killed. And not only are they trying to take his newfound criminal empire now, he's going to take revenge on the Pikes for killing his tribe.
Yeah, so the whole Pike and the Tusken Raider part, I actually wrote that down in like my love-hate, because it was done really well, and I liked that aspect of it, but I didn't like it just because they killed the Tusken Raiders.
Yeah.
But I wrote down the same thing for prediction. I think he's going to exact revenge on the what were they called? The pirates, I guess. Whatever they were.
I don't remember what they were called, but they were like some biker gang is what they are.
I think that will definitely be touched on within the next couple episodes, if not next one.
Yeah.
I also think that's kind of one of the things I told Gabe last week is I think that the Pikes are going to be a central focus.
Yeah, they have to.
Throughout the season.
By this episode, I think it's pretty much all but guaranteed. Either that or it'll be the mayor steps up. But I think it's going to be the Pikes specifically.
Which I actually like the fact that, at least seemingly, they're writing the Hutts off. I actually like that they're focusing on the Pikes, because obviously we get them in like the Clone Wars.
It's something different that we haven't seen very often.
Yeah. And I feel like, because Clone Wars, while obviously there's probably a ton of people who've watched it, for the casual Star Wars fan, probably is not watching the Clone Wars. They're probably only going to want to watch like the movies or the live action TV shows.
Sure.
So I think that's really cool that they're going to introduce them and focus on them in a show, and even to the casual fan, now they'll know some of these other Star Wars races that they normally probably wouldn't have if they're not watching the cartoons or something.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, because my wife, Allie, case in point, I mean, she loves The Mandalorian. She loves everything live action. She loves Star Wars. She plays, I mean, us three logged how many hours in playing Battlefront and Battlefront 2.
Yeah.
She loves it. But when it comes to the cartoons like Rebels and Clone Wars, not Resistance, we won't talk about that show. That's a disgrace. But as far as those shows go, and they're actually really good, and they contribute so much to the Star Wars story. Yeah. She's like, oh, a cartoon? Like, I'm like, babe, seriously. There's a lot of questions that are answered. So I get that. That makes a whole lot of sense.
I'm glad that I watched the Clone Wars, because exactly what you said, there's a lot of stuff which I haven't watched Rebels yet. I'm getting ready to start Rebels.
Rebels is slow at first, but once you get into it, dude,
it's really good.
Yeah, it's got the feels. It's so like the last two seasons of Clone Wars, how you kind of got that like that surreal feeling that after the first season, that happens like every few episodes. That feeling happens. Like really? It's pretty reoccurring. Like there's fluffer episodes in between, but it's pretty reoccurring feeling throughout the whole series.
Oh yeah, I'm super excited to watch that show. I was gonna say something else. What was it? Oh, as far as I still am not convinced that the mayor is the one. I think it's the mayor's assistant.
That would be a very Clue thing to do, wouldn't it?
That dude is scumbag.
Yeah,
I cannot stand him.
Like we all are pointing fingers at Professor Plum and at Mrs. White, and when the butler really did it. So I mean, like
Yeah.
that would be a total, Clue like moment.
They just they make him so pompous that I feel like
And
he's got
innocent,
something.
pompous and innocent.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like I don't know. I just maybe it's just because of my dislike for him, but I really feel like he's going to be the one that is pulling the string, so to speak, and not the mayor.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, that was pretty much my prediction.
Okay. Well, why don't we jump into our dislikes? And since you went ahead and took the lead on the things we liked about the episode, I'll go about the stuff we wish we could change. Um, so let's just throw it out there. Uh, I so the first thing, I guess, on a little more serious note, I'll wait for that, the one I was about to say, for next. On a little more serious note, I am very offended, and I feel like it's an injustice that the Boba's Tuscan family did not get more, even though they were dead. They did not get more recognition in this episode. I mean, we got a 15-second clip.
I yeah.
It was like
I
they were there. They didn't do anything at the beginning of the clip. Boba left and Boba came back and they were dead. It
mhm.
was almost like a shell shock, which maybe that's what they were trying to go for. But it could have been a longer, with all of what's episode 2 was, all that heartwarming feeling. It could have been a little more dramatic, I guess, is
Mhm.
what I'm getting at. What do you think?
Yeah, I felt the same way. I was when it showed them that they had been killed. I was a little surprised, I think for the same reason, because I was like, they just focused so much on them and dedicated an entire episode, which, obviously it's about Boba more than it is them, but I don't know, it didn't feel,
Didn't feel natural.
yeah, it didn't feel I felt like it was almost like, we don't know what to do. Okay, he'll show up and they'll be dead. That's kind of how I felt about it.
Yeah, and that was my whole thing. Like, it's it's not. I mean, I'm not okay with them dying because I really enjoyed that whole aspect of the show. Which, I mean, it makes sense. Why is Boba now trying to take Jabba's throne and not with his family? That makes
Hmm.
sense. But the way that they died, and how it was played out, like it seemed like there was, okay. So now I'll fade into my next thing I don't like. That's that little, you know, Gen Z goth punk biker gang that showed up. What the heck is that? I mean, I like the idea of a gang of, let's not call them assassins, but let's call them death machines that are part droid. I love that idea. It's
Yeah.
so cool. But this isn't Cyberpunk 2077. This is Star Wars. And those 1950s mopeds that you're riding around on can get the heck out of my Star Wars show. I'm sorry. Why
Yep.
focus so much more time on that awful character development and not focus it on what we all want to see, which is the freaking Tuscan Raiders?
I I literally watched every scene with them and I was just like this.
I mean, I don't think they're bad characters. I just think that they're portrayed terribly.
Yes. It was that it was I didn't even think about that, but that's a good point. I 100% agree with is why in the heck did you focus on those guys and you could have developed the Tuscan Raider death at least a little bit better. I would have taken even just a fraction more with the Tuscan Raiders dying than any screen time they got.
So I will say this. I will say this. Like I said before, the gang is not a bad idea. It really isn't. Like, I mean, how cool is that if they were like Boba Fett or they were like IG-88 or IG-11? How cool would that be? You have cyborgs that are guns for hire
Yeah.
that you're working for, but they are portrayed like spoiled teenager brats that take
Yeah.
place in, you know, future punk eras, future funk, even like that Japanese thing that goes on.
Yeah.
That's where they fit. They fit in an anime, not in Star Wars.
No, it was uh I just lost my thought that I was going to focus on there. But it was like their bikes looked like the Power Rangers
Mm-hmm.
bikes, and I thought it was so stupid. I hated the car chase
The
scene.
car chase, it could have been done a lot better. Like I like the idea, but
Oh,
let's not to cut this up, but let's touch on what I was thinking. So when I saw the credits roll on this episode, and I saw who directed it, Robert Rodriguez. Robert Rodriguez directed the first episode of Boba Fett. So I know other people had differing opinions than ours, but what was, I mean, I know our general opinion, you and I's. You know what was, we didn't like the episode, or at least I didn't, and that's what I got from you.
yeah,
And then Steph Green directs the second episode, and in my opinion, it's phenomenal. It was a better episode than some of the most, if not, well, no, I'm gonna say better episode than some of the Mandalorian episodes. Like it was up there with some of the best Mandalorian episodes, in my opinion.
yeah, yeah. It was really good.
And then we get this chapter 3, and it's directed by the same guy. It is, I mean, does he not know Star Wars? I mean, is no one, does he not have a no guy? I mean, I guess he's the director. He can do what he wants, but he's got to have someone in the back saying like, no, 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 that's not going to work, because twice he's tried and twice he's failed, in my opinion.
I feel like so this episode overall, I did like it, and I felt like it was still. I don't know, if maybe not significantly, but sorry. I feel like it was better than the first one by enough to talk about.
Yeah, yeah, it was definitely better than the first one.
But I feel like I don't really. I'd have to go back and watch the first one now. But this episode, I feel like it was like they were trying to bring in appeal to maybe younger audiences
Mm.
who,
More of a Disney show, is that what you mean?
yeah, oh yeah, like maybe in the sense of the younger ones who do watch Star Wars, they watch it because of the Jedis and the lightsabers and the Force, and maybe they're trying to appeal to those very passive, casual fans and say, hey, Star Wars can also be cool without those aspects. Like, look, a car chase, and it was
Hmm.
just half but done.
Yeah, I agree. I
I just I
wholeheartedly agree.
that was my number one thing that I hated. I wrote that in all caps. I felt like I do agree what you said. It could have been a lot. It was a cool idea. It could have
Hmm.
been done a lot better. But I just felt like it was a complete waste of time
Yeah.
the way it was done.
The So moving on from that, let's not beat that horse into the ground. Let's The other thing I didn't care for, which was actually uh on the opposite end of the scene, was the best part, the best scene in my opinion, when Danny Trejo came in. But when the Hutts showed up at the palace, that scene, it seemed again like the Tuscan scene seemed rushed. It seemed like like the Tuscan scene and when the Hutts show up to the palace, that those were probably the pivotal points in the show that Jon Favreau meant to be. But it
Hmm.
seems like Robert Rodriguez took more time in the flashy, cool, in between things, which maybe that there's a point to it. Maybe it'll build later and it all makes sense in 3 episodes, and I'll be called an idiot, in the comments below this video. But it seemed like those 2 points were huge, and they should have spent more time. I mean, the Hutt showed up at the front of the palace, spoke 6 sentences, and then turned around and left, and admitted that they sent the Wookiee to kill him.
Yeah. The so that I agree. I think that was a very pivotal scene with the Hutch showing up and telling them what they told him.
Mm-hmm.
How much though? How much of that do you think is the writing though? Like I know Jon Favreau wrote it and he's done awesome and everything, but how much of that is the director is limited to what's in the script.
Yeah, maybe it seems to make sense to me. Jon Favreau has proved himself over and over and over and over again. I mean,
Yeah.
we have Star Wars as we know it now, thanks to Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. You know,
Yeah.
so I mean, and everyone makes mistakes, so it very well could be Jon Favreau's fault. It just seems unlikely, I guess, in my book.
Well, and even if it was a result of writing, I feel like it still could have been done better with what, let's say it was the writing. Let's say it was that. I feel like it still could have been done better than what it was.
Yeah,
Even saying that, I don't know.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
fair
agree
enough.
though. I didn't have that thought, but I do agree with that. It did feel rushed in a sense of like, wow, that was kind of a key scene, and that's all we got.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it felt so cut and dry. Like we're not going to see these characters again. That's how cut and dry it felt. Like
Mm-hmm.
now they said, "Oh, we're sorry for sending the Wookiee to kill you. The Pikes are behind this," and then peace, we're out. We're going back to Nar Shaddaa, and we're gonna go mess things up there.
Sp-
We get him for 3 minutes total in the whole stinking series. That's what it
and
feels like.
and speaking of that, I actually I audibly laughed when he let the Wookiee go, and the Wookiee just kind of jogged off.
That was not the other thing. I was just like, why? You
I
had
was like,
so
what
much
the heck?
potential there, which he might be coming back. You never
I
know.
I think he will. I think he'll be
I'm
back.
the Wookiees more than likely coming back. I have a stronger feeling about him coming back than the Huts coming back.
Yeah, I personally I don't think we'll see the Huts again.
I don't think so either. And
But
that's why, I'm kind of irritated at this scene was just because I think this was supposed to be more. This was supposed to be a farewell, like the Hutt's final exit from Tatooine, and I felt like it was rushed. I could be wrong, but that was just how I get what I got from the show. And then I felt like just letting the Wookiee go, like I mean, he's not going to have much development, character development in a prison cell. But there had to have been something else to do, unless he's just going to be an enemy. If he's an enemy, then that makes perfect sense. But I felt like there was an opportunity to hire him,
yeah,
like he hired the Gamorrean guards. That
I actually I got super excited because I thought that's what was going to happen.
me too, me too.
When the Huts were like, "Well, take him as a gift. You can sell him back to the gladiators if you want." I was like, "Oh, he's gonna be with Boba," and then he was like, "Let him go," and he just
And he
casually jogs off.
looked, and he's just like,
I was like, "What the heck just happened?"
yeah, someone just tried to murk you in your sleep, and then now you're just letting them run off into the desert. I
Yeah,
mean,
no
seriously,
hard feelings.
yeah, no
I
hard
was like,
feelings.
"Shut up, Boba. You should have blown him up at least."
Yeah, wrist rocket that jerk like you did the guy in the first episode. I want to see more of
Yeah,
that.
yeah, man. That Wookiee though, that is so. I think we will, and I really hope we get to see more of him.
I think we will.
Man, that was awesome.
So okay, so I mean, anything else on the episode that you want to talk about? I mean, that's really all that I can remember.
I just had two short things written. One, and maybe this was the intention because they did kind of mention like, oh, they're starting a war. Um, I don't know how much I like Boba recruiting people, especially that gang in particular. Which you said maybe it could develop and it could actually be really cool.
Mhm.
But I feel like instead of developing alliances, he's just scraping anybody he can to be on his side as
Yeah,
an army. And maybe that's the point.
I think
Maybe
that
there
is
is
the
something
point.
coming.
I really
But
do think that's the point.
I don't like, I guess it's probably more of the fact that it was the gang. I'm like, really? Out
Mhm.
of any Star Wars character, race, anything that you could have used, that's what you came up with. And
Yeah,
that's what Boba went with. I'm like, I don't know.
I guarantee you, what it was is they were probably written cooler. They're probably written like
Yeah.
BAs, and they got all glamored up.
Yeah, you're probably right because when what's his nuts at the beginning was telling him half human, half droid or whatever. I was like,
yeah,
oh, that
talking them
sounds
up really
really.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was like,
like
that
they're
sounds awesome.
bloodthirsty, scoundrels or you know, s-
And yeah,
yeah.
and then Boba shows up and it's like a bunch of teenagers and they're like, oh,
They're
there's
like,
no way.
emo. I like
Yeah.
darkness and stuff, and MGK is the greatest, and Corey Taylor can go kick
Yeah.
rocks.
I hide my razor blades under my mattress so mom doesn't find
Yeah,
them.
yeah,
I don't know. I didn't like that, and I think that's what it is. Maybe not so much that he's building an army, but the fact is, it's the people they gave him. I was
yeah.
like, I don't like that. Um, oh, do you have something else?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, and then the last thing I wrote, which wasn't a big deal, but did you feel like it kind of ended abruptly, the episode?
It was meant for a cliffhanger, I think. But yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, like I thought the closing monologue or dialogue, whatever, was perfect. I feel like it led to the end well, even the closing line.
And I think what a big part of that was too was, I mean, think about this. We had a hour or maybe a little bit more episode with episode 2. This one was only 40
Mm-hmm.
minutes. So it could just be the simple fact that, hey, there's less screen time and it just feels small,
Yeah,
you know?
see, I kind of thought that too, and I was like, maybe that's it, but I don't know. I feel like a lot of episodes or shows in general, I feel like with when the end is coming, you know the end of the episode's coming, like 5 to 10 minutes before.
Yeah.
And I feel like I don't know. I watched it twice. The second time I watched it, and then maybe like 20 minutes, and I watched it again. And both times I was like, no, that just feels like it was an abrupt ending. I don't know. It was just kind of weird.
Yeah.
I didn't have a problem with it.
I agree. I think I really do a lot. I really do think a lot of that's associated with, just
Directing.
how the directing and just how short it was. I think that's what it is. I mean,
Yeah,
because
no.
it I do remember watching episode 2 and like thinking like, oh, this is where the episode's going to end, and it just kept going. So I do feel like that maybe we're just a little sensitized to it at the moment, and we'll see. Hopefully that there's longer episodes later on in the series.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Because the first episode was only like 38 minutes, and I didn't feel that way about that one. Maybe it was because it was the first episode.
I felt that way about it a little bit. Like it felt a little too short to me.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right. Anyway, so let's go ahead and move on to the final thing. Let's do final thing for Boba Fett. Let's do our ratings. What would you rate this episode out of the last two? I don't know if we did ratings for the last two episodes. Did you and Gabe do a rating?
We didn't, and I actually thought about that after we stopped recording because I was going to mention it.
Did we do a rating for the first episode? I don't remember that either.
I don't think we did.
Why don't we just line up
do all three
episodes and give a little rating to them, and maybe Gabe will continue on with it in the future when he gets back. So Jake, what would you rate Chapter 1, Stranger Lost in a Strange Land?
I kind of want to rewatch it, but from what I remember, do you want my initial rating or now that I've seen the next two episodes?
Whichever. You just give me a rating.
I think initially I probably would have gave it a 6. But now that I've seen more episodes, not too much higher, I'd probably give it a 7 for the first one.
Mm-hmm. For the first episode, I give it a 5. Quite honestly, just because I thought it could be done better. Like it like we said before, it didn't feel like Star Wars to me. Like there were some Star Wars parts, but it wasn't a Star Wars episode to me. And that's where we'll leave it. Chapter 2, Tribes of Tatooine. What's your rating on that one?
Not comparing it to any other show, just Boba, I'd give chapter 2 a 10. Just standalone by itself, chapter 10.
I agree with that. I'm not going to. I'm going to give it a 9. Or I'm going to give it. I'm going to be a little more fair. I'm going to give it an 8. The only reason I was giving it a 9 was because it wasn't Robert Rodriguez that directed it, and that's not fair. So I'll give it an 8. Because it was really good. Like we saw a lot of things that I wanted to see, and it fulfilled a lot of hopes that I was worried about while watching the first episode. It like leveled out a lot of my worries. So I'll give it an 8.
So
Uh,
what was left to be desired to give it a higher rating for
uh,
episode 2?
I'd have to go back and look at my notes on it, but it was just, it's still, the acting was still a little bit wary to me. And I don't want to give it, and the other thing, I don't want to give it a perfect score without seeing the rest of the season, because maybe that could be the one that actually absolutely stinks. So I guess initial feelings on it, I'd give it a 10, but in real reality, I'm going to give it an 8 just to be fair. Okay, so chapter 3. So let's move on to this week's episode, the episode that we discussed today. Jake, what is your final rating?
I'm actually gonna. Well, I don't know, because there were some cool parts in it that I really, really enjoyed. I'd probably give. I think I'll give this episode a 7
Okay.
because of the fact, and I think it's not any higher for me because of how much the parts that I hated, how much I hated those parts.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of took away from the rest of the episode for me.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm giving it a 7 as well. The only saving grace of this episode, in my opinion, the only one, is Master Danny Trejo and his very gorgeous Rancor. That's the only reason. As soon as I realized it was Danny Trejo, I was like, "This episode is awesome. I love it.
Yep.
Let's go." So, all jokes aside, 7. And I really love Danny Trejo. Okay, why don't we take a quick break? I gotta pee, and then we're gonna go over a little question real quick. All right, we're back. So now this is not very typical for the episodes that we're starting for reviews on the Wannabe Critic. And Gabe, don't yell at us, but you did leave us in charge, so we're gonna beer bros it up just a little bit. So let's not take too long on the question, because we've already had these good folks for 40 minutes or give or take. I do have a pressing question though, and just credit to the Rizzuto show on 105.7 The Point here in St. Louis. They talked about Betty White. Betty White died. That was kind of a sad thing. I felt a disturbance in the force, to be quite honest, when she died. I knew something was wrong immediately when I woke up that morning.
Yeah, you woke up, held your heart.
I was like, oh, Padme.
It was like Professor X when all the X-Men were getting killed.
oh. And then not even a handful of days later, we have another heartbreaking moment in American history. Bob Saget sadly passed away. Danny, was it Danny Tanner? Is that his Danny Tanner from Full House? Was that his name?
Yeah, I think so.
Danny Tanner. Good old Daddy Danny. That was really creepy. I should not have said that.
It was like, at first I was like, oh yeah, oh wait.
So the Riz show talked about Betty White. I mean, I think all of us can agree Betty White is America's grandma, right? We've been rooting from her from like, as soon as she hit 90, we've been rooting for her. We're like, oh, she's 99 today. We're all rooting for her to have a life, and no one wants to say a word about her dying because no one wants to be to blame to be the one causing her to die. So she's all in our hearts. So we can say that I can safely say that I think she's America's grandma, like the guy said on the show.
Oh yeah.
Then Danny Tanner died. Bob Saget. I just had a blank. Bob Saget dies. And I agree with what the guy said. I think that's America's dad.
Too. Oh, 100%.
I mean, yeah, his comedy was kind of vulgar and not for kids and everything, but he was Danny Tanner on Full House, probably arguably one of the best sitcoms that were ever recorded, in my opinion.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think that's the majority of people. That's what they know him as.
Yeah. When I would turn on Nick at Night, you remember Nick at Night?
Uh-huh.
And they would play all those old, 80s, 90s sitcoms. And when I heard the theme song to that show, I knew it was going to be a good night. I knew it was going to be a good night.
Full House was awesome.
Yeah, Full House was amazing. I it was that and George Lopez. Full House theme song and George Lopez theme song. I knew it was going to be a good night. Yep. So that was kind of settled that we have America's grandma and America's dad. But nothing was talked about America's mom and America's grandpa. So the question I pose to you is let's start with this one. Who is America's mom, in your opinion?
This is the one I don't see.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be an actor or an actress, was what I meant. It could be any woman figure. I have two, by the way.
See, my mind automatically goes to actress just because I feel like you're a lot more relatable when you're seen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I honestly couldn't really think of one. I think that I had three come to mind. One was, I can't remember her TV name. The mom from Malcolm in the Middle.
Yeah, the guys talked about that one too.
But I didn't feel like I don't feel like she's big enough to be America's mom.
Okay.
Then I thought Everybody Loves Raymond's wife. I forgot her name too.
Deborah.
Oh, Deborah. Yeah, Deborah. Wait.
Deborah.
Wait, was that not the mom? Was that not Ray's mom?
No, Ray's wife was Deborah.
Oh, okay. But then I thought the same thing. I was like, well, she's not really like. I feel like to be America's mom, dad, whatever, you have to be like super well known. And that's kind of what I thought. And then I thought of, which I think they mentioned, and I thought was fitting, was the Brady Bunch mom.
Okay. Yeah.
But the issue I have is we don't have TV. We have like all we do is streaming stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't watched TV in a long time, like TV shows. So I don't really know anybody off the top of my head.
Okay. So I guess is your final answer on that the Brady Bunch mom, which I'll look up her name real quick while we're here. Is that your final answer?
Yeah, it's my final answer, but I don't think it's the right answer by any means.
Okay.
Because obviously America's mom, dad, whatever, it changes with each generation unless you're Betty White.
Mm-hmm.
Because Betty White was transcendent. But I feel like it also changes with generation. Because Bob Saget, he was, but I feel like if you asked a lot of kids today, like, oh, do you know who Bob Saget is or Danny Tanner? They'd be like, what?
Yeah, I guess I see. I guess I'm more so thinking about me as a kid. I'm not thinking about a younger generation, I guess. But I never watched Brady Bunch as a kid, so I don't relate to your answer either.
I only watched the occasional reruns, but that was, I think, because of personality, that was the one that stuck out in my mind.
Her real name is Florence Henderson, and she played Carol.
That's right.
Carol, I think was her name on the show.
Yeah.
Okay, so fair enough. I mean, and so now my first pick is going to kind of dwindle because of what you said. So you felt like it had to be a well-known person. I feel like this is a well-known person, but I only know her for one or two things. I don't know her for like this giant show. So maybe my answer is wrong. Maybe it'll dwindle right here, but Kitty Foreman, Deborah Jo Rupp, that is, in my opinion, America's mom. In my opinion.
Yeah, I could see that. Do you think also part of it has to play with the show they're in and how much nostalgia it gives you? Like maybe reminding you of your own childhood or your own mother. Not saying she is like your mom, but you know.
But isn't that what we're looking for though when we answer this question? I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we're looking for.
I guess I'm thinking though, like beyond a personal scale.
Okay.
I'm thinking of like if everybody.
So the other reason why I think about this too is like so you do make a point. It's a point that I didn't even register, to be quite honest. Was, yeah, maybe it does give me the nostalgia feeling of being a kid. Not 100%, but yeah, I mean, my mom was the quirky mom that always had something to say and was always had less than a clue to everything that was actually going on. So maybe yeah, there might be some truth to that. But the way I looked at it was how you could tell by the end of that show, even after some of the characters had left to go do their own thing, pursue other things in their careers, how attached she was to the entire crew, every actor. You could see that her emotions were true. And then she comes back. I was reading that she comes back for a show that Netflix did called The Ranch, that had Danny Masterson and Ashton Kutcher and even Fez. And I can't remember who Fez, what his name is, but he was. They were all on those show too. And she came back. Why? I mean, they could have picked any other person to do that, but she's the one that they picked. So, I mean, to me, I guess, yeah, on a personal level, that it makes the most sense to me that Kitty Foreman is America's mom.
Which I do agree with that. Totally random thought. Do you feel like Red could pass as America's dad?
100%. No, he would never be America's dad. He's the dad that America needs.
Yeah. He's like, so yeah, in my mind, it's like he'll never be America's dad, but he is the American dad.
He is the American dad. Yeah.
Like
yeah,
he is
I don't disagree
a
with
tried
that at
and
all.
true version of a father.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay. And then, so I don't want to take too much more time, but the right answer for America's mom, in my opinion, like I said before, we don't have to stick with actresses in this scenario. Let's stray a little bit farther. And I think you're going to agree with me as soon as I say her name, but this is America's mom. Or, yeah, we're going to go with America's mom. Oprah.
Oh. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
That's one that wouldn't stick out to me, but it makes sense.
It makes them or America's Queen. You could go with America's Queen too. Like I feel like if anyone
no,
should
that's
be sent,
Beyonce.
Well, I am Beyonce always.
Yeah.
Beyonce. If we were going to go represent ourselves for, let's just say there's a country on this planet that we have no idea that existed. They had no idea we existed, and now a representative from each country is going. I want stinking Oprah going to that meeting because she's
Oprah.
She's Oprah.
No, Oprah makes a lot of sense. Actually, I never that never in a million years would have crossed my mind, but it does fit the bill. I only feel like people wouldn't say Oprah just because she's never probably because she's
role.
Yeah, she's not an actress, and I feel like that's where a lot of people would get caught up with that.
Yeah.
But it does make sense. She's been there. Everybody knows Oprah.
Everyone knows Oprah, and she's always been the giving type too, just like a mother should be. I mean, she gave away all those cars that one time. She always gives away something. She's helping out in some way.
Yeah. Oprah's fitting, actually. That's a good one.
I think it's Oprah. I mean, if we're expanding our horizons from non-sitcom actresses, I guess.
Yeah, Oprah's really good, actually. I can get down with that one.
Okay, let's move on to the grandpa. Jake, who do you think is America's grandpa? What's a good pairing with Betty White?
So, I didn't think too terribly hard about this one because two names came into my mind. Well, I can't think of I always forget their real names. But my first one, and I think they mentioned on the show, was Frank from Everybody Loves Raymond.
That was mine too.
That's
mine too.
It's too fitting. Him,
and Betty White together.
And Betty White. But then the other one, which is basically another character like that, is Ben Stiller's dad, King of Queens.
Oh yeah, King of. No, I view him more as the annoying dad. He didn't seem old enough to be a grandpa. I guess that maybe that's because Kevin James and what's her
Because
name never had
he
a.
played the dad.
Yeah, and they never
Yeah.
had a kid, so he wasn't the grandpa role. He was just the annoying dad that lived downstairs.
I thought that at first too, and then the more I thought about it, I was like, man, I don't know. To me, he was a fitting grandpa. Like, if he would have had grandkids in the show, it totally would have worked. He
Yeah,
totally would have been a grandpa. Because I
yeah,
mean, Kevin James in the show was and is probably supposed to be what, in his 30s,
has
40s.
to be something like that. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I picked. The other one I would have picked would be Mark Hamill, just because we've grown up with him. He was Luke
Yeah.
Skywalker. He played the Joker in all the Batman flicks. He
Hmm.
did a lot of stuff, and we've experienced and have been touched by Mark Hamill in some way that we just don't realize. And now he came back and played and died as Luke Skywalker in the new Star Wars movies. So I mean that we got to see an end of an era. So he's fittingly a good grandpa to me.
Yeah, because when you see him in interviews too, he seems like very grandpa-ish, like somebody you want to spend time with, and you're gonna have fun with him.
Yeah, and just wants your attention. Like it seems like he
Yeah.
wants your attention, just like a grandpa would want.
Yep. Probably
You
a
know,
really good storyteller.
yeah, get down on the floor and play building blocks type of a guy. So
Yeah,
I think
that's a
Mark
good
Hamill's
one.
a good fit, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so. That's a good one.
I
Yeah,
digress.
Frank though. Frank was
He was the grumpy
immediately.
grouch grandpa. Really was what it
Yeah.
was. Like, oh my God, I've been dealing with this family and my wife for like 50 years. I just want my chair and my slippers. That was
Yep.
the typical grandfather. So yeah, I see both. And if I was to choose, I would probably choose Frank.
Loved the grandkids,
Mm.
but
Loved his
then like,
family, but was super irritable all the time.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He's like the stereotypical grandpa.
All right, I
Yep.
digress. Let's move on to my next question. And this might be a really short discussion. This might be a long discussion. I don't know. These are the questions that need to be asked, Jake. These are the questions that need to be asked.
These are life's important questions.
So, about a month ago, there was a news report in the news about a guy. I forget what country he was from, but he was taking a walk on a nature trail that he's taken numerous times. Pretty popular hiking trail. Nothing really significant. Think about a easy walking trail. Think about Castlewood in Baldwin.
Hmm.
I mean, it's a nature trail. It's a tough trail, but it's not in the middle of nowhere. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
pretty
So
basic.
he's walking alongside a river and he walks upon a group of river otters and somehow startles them and they attack him and they like tackle him to the ground and they bite him. He survived. He's fine. He's fine, ladies and gentlemen. But he gets up and escapes. He's got bruises and scrapes and bites everywhere. Anyway, I got to thinking, and I credit this to Riz also. Otter weighs anywhere. Let's see. Let me look up real quick what a river otter weighs.
I'm
River
gonna I'm gonna say
otter
I'm gonna say 12 pounds.
weight. It's more than that.
Oh,
Uh, how much does a river otter weigh? Anywhere but from 36 to 53 pounds.
all right. So they're hefty little guys.
So I got to thinking 55 pounds, that's about the right weight for a third grader. So how many third graders do you think you could fight off before you got succumbed?
I was just getting. We were totally on the same page because I was just thinking in my head, I was like, that's like a little kid. I could chuck some little kids.
how, how how many third graders do you think you could fight off until you succumb to their sheer will? And we're not talking about like we're talking about third graders that are feral, that have a purpose and want to literally murder you. They have sheer will, sheer power. All their little kid instinct is gone. How many could you fight off? Literally. With your hands. No weapons, with your hands.
Honestly, you might think this is a little high, but I'm probably gonna say I'm trying to think realistically here. I'm gonna give myself, before I get just too tired, I'm gonna give myself 30, 35.
Whoa, that many?
Yeah, straight because I'm 280 pounds.
Okay.
First, it's going to kick in my flight or fight response, and I'm going fight. And my adrenaline's going to be pumping. They're like 50 pounds. They weigh about the same as one of my legs. I'm going to horse kick one kid in the face, and he's going to be done. Done. I'm going to Sparta kick him. He's going to come at me full speed, mind you. A little 50-pound munchkin running at me full speed, and I'm going to meet him with my foot. I mean, he's not just going to run into my foot. My foot is going to meet him. So, I mean, I'm not saying I'm not some big fighter guy, but I'm going to tell you right now, I'm taking out about 30, 35 of those little midgets before I go down. I know that for sure.
Oh, geez.
I got, because here's my logic. I figure I got about 10 solid power kicks per leg before I get tired.
Okay, but I think you're missing a big part of the scenario here. They're not coming at you single file. They're coming at you from all around.
Oh,
and
I know.
They're going to swarm you. So think about this. This guy, I mean, he's a runner. He's got to be athletic, right?
If he's a runner, he's probably very thin, though.
But, I mean, he's got to have stamina and be built. And the other thing is that a third grader's 50 pounds, probably light. Okay. These otters ranged from 30 to 50 pounds, and he couldn't fight off a little group of them. I don't remember how many were there, but no less than 10, no more than 10.
But here's the thing. Think of how much stronger animals are than people. Like, I'm not saying, like, Mowgli's not stronger than me, but for an 8-month-old dog that weighs like 75, 80 pounds, that dog is strong. Like, he can pull me across the floor with a toy in his mouth. Like, if I'm holding onto his toy and he starts yanking on me, he can scoop me across carpet.
Okay.
And so I'm thinking, like, otters, I don't know how strong they are. I wouldn't think that they're anything crazy. I don't even know. I wouldn't say they're stronger than a dog even. But I mean, you got, number one, it's a feral animal that's like, just straight up attacking you. And I don't know, when I think of runners, the majority of like serious runners, yeah, their stamina's good, but they're usually probably not very strong people either. I'm not saying they're weak, but compared to other, I don't know, I just don't think of them as strong because they do so much cardio. They're not really building their muscle. They probably got strong legs, I guess.
That's a good point.
I'm just thinking, though, third graders, man, I'm like, if they're all running at me at the same time, I'm kicking, I'm grabbing them at the same time and throwing them into each other. I'm picking some of them up and chucking them into the rest of them. Like,
you got a lot of pent up aggression that you're going to take out on these third graders.
I'm giving myself 30, 35 before I just get, because I'm fat and I get so tired that then they take over me.
I said, I mean, anywhere from 12 to 20 is really because think about it this way. Think about my reasoning. Okay. And I'd say 12 to 20, no matter if you're 120 pounds or 220 pounds, I'd say about 12 to 20 within there. And the reason why is because they're coming at you from all sides, like all sides. They're coming at you like this. And all it takes is for you to punch one in the face and then another one grab your arm and then the other one grab your back arm. And then it's all over. It's over. Can you curl 50 pounds plus?
Not plus. I can curl 50 pounds. It's hard, but I can do it.
Could probably do it one, but see, okay, now you got two 50-pound dumbbells attached to your wrist, okay, and you're trying to pull them up like this to break them free, and then you got like 100 pounds. Let's say two guys grab your legs each. You're done. There's no way.
I'm flinging them across the soccer field. So my thing is like, I'm not going to be curling the kid, like curling something and then a kid having your arm and using your body momentum to sling is two different. So my thought is,
so you have your arms here. There's no way he's taller than 5 feet. You know, so he's going to be dangling. They're going to be, so you're lifting dead weight.
No. So here's my thought. Like, if they grab my arms, for them to grab them, I'm probably going to be pretty low to start with.
Okay.
Like, I'm not going to be up here. So if they grab me, I'm thinking I'm like right here standing up. So they're like stretched out, not off the ground, but they're probably stretched out with my arms right here. So all I'm doing is, I'm flinging them. So I'm thinking fighting tactics too, because I'm thinking, they're going to get on your back.
Yeah.
And all that takes is a grab by the shirt and just like Thor hammer over the head. And I'm throwing kids into kids. I'm probably picking up one by the feet as soon as I can grab them and just use them as a baseball bat and hitting the others.
I'm sorry, I just realized how absurd that sentence was you just said. I'm throwing kids into kids.
I mean, seriously though, like, you can literally grab a kid by the ankles at the start and just spin around in circles, and he's gonna be pop, 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 pop. Like, those are concussions instant.
Why do I imagine you doing this to Adrian as a kid? Just your little nephew out there just being swung around by his ankle. Oh geez. All right, that was too much fun for that discussion. Let's wrap it up there. We've taken up too much of the precious Wannabe Critic audience's time. I mean, a whole 23 minutes with our nonsense. I mean, we're about done with that. Okay, so final review of Book of Boba Fett was, I think we both gave it 7s, correct? Is that what we both gave? Book of Boba Fett. Check it out, Disney Plus. It was a great episode all in all. I'm really enjoying the show, and I'm excited to see where it goes. Jake, any final comments from you?
No, I don't think so. I'm despite the parts I hated about this episode, I'm still like really looking forward to episode 4, see what it brings.
Yeah, I'm excited what the potential is with this show. Check out Beer Bros on the Wannabe Collective, Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube page, and anywhere that you get your podcast quite frequently. We have 2 episodes up, kind of our first episode, and then kind of an in-between between the first and second. We had to make some adjustments as far as our recording schedule, so hopefully we will get some new content, Beer Bros Eastside, coming soon, hopefully. In the meantime, we want to thank Gabe for letting us take a hold of this channel here. I mean, this is our kind of our flagship channel. So I was really excited to sit in the big boy seat for once.
Yeah, I feel powerful.
I do. I feel like Gabe. I feel like I need to have like some. Oh, I do have glowy lights, but I need to have my name like etched up on the wall behind me or something.
I know,
like that, glowing. But anyway, no, seriously, thank you for letting us take over the show. We had a great time, and hopefully we'll be doing it again in the near future. Jake, where can we find you at?
You can find me on Instagram. It's Jacob Allen Photos, JACOBALAN Photos. I think that's the one I'm gonna start mentioning. Yeah,
fair enough. Plug your stuff. That's for sure. You can find me at Creep to Your Left on Instagram and Twitter, and then Beer Bros East Side on Instagram, Beer Bros East on Twitter. Check out the Wannabe Critic Instagram page and Twitter. Also their TikTok. They have a TikTok now, and it's all right. I'm just kidding. Gabe has an awesome sense of humor, and go check them out on Twitter. Check out all the Wannabe Productions content. And I believe that's it. Till next week. We'll for sure be on next week. Gabe will hopefully be returning, and we'll review episode 4. Anything else, Jake?
Nope.
All right, let's call her a night. Say goodbye, boy.
Toodles.
Stay classy.
Well, once again, thank you so much for showing up today. I really, really appreciate it. Again, if this is your first time here, consider subscribing. I know that's the thing that all the YouTubers do. Everyone's asking to sub. The fact of the matter is that it doesn't cost you anything to subscribe, and who knows, you might even see a video every now and then that you actually like. or maybe interested in. Not only that, I do a bunch of stuff, so make sure you check all the information down in the description down below. We got podcasts, we got Let's Plays, we got all kinds of stuff for all kinds of fandoms. So make sure you check that out. I would seriously appreciate it, and I would love to see you around here more. I am Gabriel Fast. I will always be the Wannabe Critic.